They told us history is a straight climb from cavemen to skyscrapers, from sticks and stones to satellites and smartphones. But that's the cover story. The truth is far older and far stranger. Long before our industrial age, there was a world that already had it all. A world of balance, beauty, and impossible invention. A world where the architecture healed you, the airships glided over shining cities, and the very stones around you hummed with the music of heaven. We call it the Old World Kingdom. It stretched across continents, without borders, without war. Not an empire of conquest, but a network of harmony, cities built to match the rhythms of the earth and the frequencies of the human soul. At the heart of their cities stood the cathedrals, not churches in the way we think of them, but living instruments of stone. Every arch, every spire, every curve of those impossible vaults was part of a great harmonic design. These buildings could sing, not metaphorically, literally. When the wind moved through their towers, the whole structure became a living, resonating chamber, every arch, spire, and vaulted ceiling tuned to a precise frequency, each one harmonizing with a point on the human body's seven-chakra energy wheel, aligning the spirit to the cosmos with every note that rang through the stone. The sound could pass through your body like sunlight through glass, resetting your nervous system, calming your heart, clearing your mind. The builders understood that all matter vibrates, that stone can be taught to carry the same note as the human spirit. They carved without chisels, without brute force. Instead, they used resonance, matching the tone of the stone until it yielded, shaping itself under vibration. Form coaxed into place by music, not destruction. This was their secret, the fifth element, the ether, the breath of God that moves between all things. The same current that holds the stars in place and gives life its spark. To them, this was the Holy Spirit made physical, the L in electricity, not the dead current we use today, but a living, breathing energy that could heal, grow, and transform. They harvested it without wires. Cathedral spires acted as receivers, pulling it from the sky, from the air itself. Star forts below acted as capacitors, holding and releasing it in perfect rhythm. The whole city was an engine, not of industry, but of harmony. The ether could light entire cities without a single coal-fired plant. It could power airships that floated silently over oceans. It could grow gardens in the dead of winter, run fountains that dance without pumps, keep entire climates in balance. This was not just technology, this was spiritual engineering. The outer world matched the inner, as above, so below. As within, so without. But something happened, something vast enough to break the harmony of the whole earth. The flood. Not a local flood, not a myth, but a cataclysm that buried cities under layers of mud and silt. A reset so complete that only fragments of the old world remained above ground. You can still see the evidence, entire ground floors buried, windows now half submerged, cities built on top of older cities. And in the aftermath, someone took control of the story. They began rewriting the timeline. Whole centuries were invented or erased. 1,000 years were slipped into the record like a counterfeit coin. They marked the dates not with one, for the first millennium, but with an I for Iesus, which written in Latin would have been Iesus. I 764, I 793, I 812. The I was a sacred marker, meaning in the year of Jesus. Later, it was reinterpreted as a number. One became 1,000. An extra millennium conjured out of nothing, a false distance between us and the old world. The last public glimpse of that world came with the so-called World's Fairs. They were not temporary exhibits. They were the real cities, open to the public for just long enough to astonish, then gutted, demolished, or lost to fire. And when those gates closed, the ether was locked away. The ether was declared superstition. The cathedrals were sealed, their open rose windows replaced with colored glass to choke the wind and silence the song. The star forts were turned into parks and prisons. The airships vanished from the sky. After the Great Flood, the world was not rebuilt. It was rewritten. Entire cities were buried in mud, their true history erased, and their rightful people removed. In their place came the lost children of the orphan trains, tens of thousands shipped across continents, raised with no memory of the kingdom, only the stage story they were given. Streets that once glowed with electric light and ran on free energy were dressed with horse and buggy settlers for photographs, to convince the new generation they stood at the dawn of progress, not in the ruins of something far greater. Those who still remembered, elders who spoke of airships and crystal palaces, children who sketched star forts from their dreams, healers whose touch awakened the old frequency, were locked away in towering brick asylums. These were not places of care, but prisons of erasure where memories were called madness, visions labeled delusion, and the living link to the old world was severed with drugs, isolation, and silence. The Great Reset was not just physical. It was spiritual quarantine, sealing the song of the stone away from human ears. Over time, the Great Reset installed new programming into the collective subconscious beliefs in smallness, fragility, and imminent disaster, ensuring humanity would never again reach for the greatness that was once their birthright. In Tomorrowland, the giant monitor works like a subconscious broadcasting tower, looping visions of disaster until people accept them as inevitable, reprogramming their inner world to manifest the very collapse it pretends to warn about. We were given wires, meters, and bills. The living current was replaced with the dead one, and we were told to be grateful for it. The Holy Spirit, the fifth element, was no longer something you could touch, only something you could hear about in stories, locked away in religion, stripped of its practical use. And slowly we forgot that cities could heal us, forgot that the wind could sing in stone, forgot that praise was not just words spoken upward, but a frequency you could live inside. But the remnants are still here. Walk into a cathedral, one untouched by heavy restoration, and you can still feel it. The geometry still hums. The proportions still whisper to your body that you belong to something vast and good. The old world was not a myth. It was the last time humanity lived in harmony with the fifth element, and the truth is, it has never left us. The ether still surrounds us, waiting for hands that remember how to work with it, waiting for voices that remember how to praise in a way that makes the stones sing. When we remember that, when we rebuild with harmony, with healing, with frequency as medicine, with praise as our foundation, we won't just visit the kingdom again. We will live in it.